a Tennessee quarterback will win the Heisman for our hot take this week. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
I want to say yes, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to keep this really short. I'm going to say no. Because if anybody's going to win the Heisman out of the SEC, I think it's Jalen Daniels out of LSU. I think has the best chance, honestly.
I think it can be done. I think it really can be done.
For a guy that's a toe twister, I am actually very, very.
Let me show you how to twist it here for a second. Look, Heupel, right? He comes from that UCF style of like up tempo spread offense where they're going to throw the ball all around the field, right? I mean, he's already coached a Heisman winner.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford, I know. Oklahoma, I get it.
So he's already coached at one, right? To me, he's kind of like a poor man's Lincoln Riley, if you will.
What do you think Joe Milton wins it?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen crazier things. I mean, we saw Joe Burrow do it, did we not? After transferring to LSU, and then they had that.
Don't bring up his name. You know, I love Joe B. Don't even get a fucking start on his recruiting thing.
Oh yeah,
I get it. But do you think Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix? I'm missing a couple other quarterbacks in here in this whole list. Let's talking the whole world when you talk Heisman. Really though, this isn't Hendon Hooker to me had a fucking amazing year last year. I love myself some Hendon Hooker. I think he's going to be the Detroit Lions starter by the end of the year this year, personally. But really?
Yeah, because you gotta go back a little bit, right? Same thing that we just talked about with TCU. Joe Milton won the job over Hendon Hooker, I believe, coming out of that camp. And then it was like a couple games in, his biggest problem was, it was his accuracy, right? His accuracy, he could throw the ball a mile. He's a cannon for an arm, but he wasn't connecting. So the thing to me is I look at what Heupel's done as a coach. I mean, dude, every quarterback he's had has put up over 3,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns. Hooker did it twice. Dylan Gabriel did it twice. Mackenzie Milton did it once at UCF, right? I mean, his offenses are like a lock to finish inside the top 15 every year, dude.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
And they got a really good quarterback, too, who I'll get into in just a second. Like last year, I looked at Joe Milton's stats. He had 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, dude, in mop-up duty and spot duty, when Hooker got hurt. He also had a QBR of 204, right? 204%, as a rating there, man, which on 82 attempts, that's not too bad. Now, granted, he didn't play a whole lot last year, but like I said, the only thing that concerns me is a couple years ago when they handed him the keys to the Ferrari, he was kind of swerving. That arm accuracy wasn't where you wanted it to be. And that's why I think ultimately they went to Hooker and they kind of let him do it. As far as, the young freshman in there, right, that was a 5-star, one of the best quarterbacks, arguably the best quarterback in this class over Arch Manning, and we've talked about that ad nauseum, right? You take the namesake out of it. I think this kid's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the class. Nico Lamaliva. I hope I said that right. Right? He's going to be good. I think he's going to be a great quarterback for him. He's going to flourish under Heupel, but I think it's very unlikely he ends up as a Heisman winner this year because, look, it's an incredibly rare feat for a freshman to do that. I mean, you have a better chance at beating me in a 40-yard dash than this kid does at winning the Heisman this year.
I know you get off to that at night or whatever, being a 40, but look here, listen. I respect your stat whoring abilities about Joe Milton. Dude, I do think he's going to have a hell of a year, right? Josh Heupel is a hell of a fucking coach. He was a great offensive coordinator. He was a damn good quarterback when he played fucking Oklahoma. I'm not doubting that. Not at all. But you say accuracy. Hendon Hooker, why he was so great in the combine, barring the fucking ACL injury that he had, because that knocked him back, motherfucker's accurate. You got to be accurate. NFL is all about accuracy. That's why look at my monitor over here. I'm a fucking Dolphins fan.
Mm.
Tua is my quarterback. You know what's great about Tua? He's not big. He's not fast.
Yeah.
He's actually almost like sometimes you look at him, looks like a normal human being, but motherfucker's accurate. Just like Drew Brees. Not big, not fast, not a monster arm like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or those guys or Pat Mahomes. Fucking accurate. You can't teach accuracy. Ask Tim Tebow. That's where I have a problem with Joe Milton. You brought it up. I watched Joe Milton play. Do I think he's a good quarterback? Yeah. Now, a couple years later, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. He's probably worked on it a little bit. But you can't teach accuracy. That's one thing you have or you don't have. And that's why to answer this question, and when I saw it, I'm like, there's just no way with him, man. And it's not because I'm hating on Tennessee. I actually like Tennessee out of the SEC. It's just, I don't see it. There's too many other guys. We didn't bring this up in the hot take, but you got to remember, he might have an amazing year. He might have one of those. He's not going to have a Joe Burrow year. Tennessee ain't going to end up in the fucking championship game, Christian. I hate to break it to you. Yeah, I know. Just wait. I know they're going to beat your Georgia boys, beat Bama, and beat LSU, and everybody else that you want to think. I thought that last year because I was really rooting for Tennessee over your boys, by the way. My thing is like, there's too many other quarterbacks out there. Drake May, you watch him play? Motherfucker can play. Caleb Williams, he can play. Bo Nix, going to put up some numbers there with Oregon. Michael Penix, put up some numbers. Kid can play too. There's just a lot of guys in that competition. I think this quarterback class this year is crazy loaded, even more than this year and even the year before that. So that's where I have a hard time saying, even though that Joe Milton, I think he's going to have an amazing year at Tennessee. You're exactly right with the stats, Christian. I'm going to wrap it up here real quickly. He's going to have a great year. Heupel can coach. He can put fucking quarterbacks out there. I think Joe Milton's going to be up there, top 10 quarterback, 100%. I don't doubt that at all. But can he crack? I mean, we're talking about the kid at Florida State up there. What, Jordan Travis? I mean, there's some Jalen Daniels at LSU, man. There's some fucking quarterbacks in this year coming up that are like upper echelon. Like I would put them above previous years. This isn't the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Bailey Zappi like type of shit. Like this is even above that. Like there's a lot of good guys that can play. So like I'm a little worried about where Joe Milton in Tennessee is going this year. You also play in the SEC where there are some defenses.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point that I've got two things I want to say, to this. You bring up a solid point there, right? I think the first thing is if you can succeed in the SEC as a quarterback and you can put up some really good numbers, which again, in Heupel's offense, you have a really, really good shot to win the Heisman.
100%.
Sometimes it's not about stats. It's about, what's that Heisman moment, right? Again, you think if Tennessee last year, I want to throw this out there. Say, they beat Bama. Let's say they beat Georgia and they kept it rolling, right?
God.
Right?
And Hooker was my favorite.
Yeah, he probably would have won it. Let's say this year, Joe Milton. And then I want to use this analogy here. You said you were watching baseball, right? You were watching a little bit of difference in sports here. Every year we see this, right, in baseball, where a young prospect who's uberly talented comes up to the majors. They let him start or they let him pitch. The moment's too big. He gives up, a shit ton of runs, and then they get him some experience, and then he gets sent back down to the minors for a couple of years to continue developing, and then ultimately they call him back up, and he ends up being great anyways, and it works out. I think the same thing can be said here, if you think about it, about Joe Milton. He transferred from Michigan to Tennessee, right? He was competing for the job. He won it. Moment was too big. Needed to work on some of the mechanics and some of the things like with his timing and accuracy. He probably has been sitting. Last year, and when he got to play, he looked good. And I think he is going to be much better. And I think it's going to end up ultimately being a lot better for him in the long run. So I like him. I think, again, he could definitely do it depending on the type of season that not only he has, but Tennessee has this year as well.
Yeah, I'll wrap my thoughts up. I'm a little bit off from your, perspective, Christian, and I respect the shit out of it. I just don't think – I think if this was a different year, it'd be different. But I'm looking at more of the competition around the College Globe. Drake May, Caleb Williams. I mean, there's just so many different QBs out there this year. Bo Nix, Michael Penix. I said them all. Jordan Travis, Jalen Daniels. I mean, there's just a ton of guys. I'm going to throw in Jeff Sims, and I'll keep that low key. No, I'm just playing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's just so many guys. Like, I just think that's the hard thing to win the Heisman. Not only do I think that, like, he's going to have a great year with Tennessee, I do. I really, truly do. And I am rooting for Tennessee, man. I was praying to God last year. I lost some money on that Georgia game. No, I get you, man. 100%. I respect your opinion on it. I think we're going to kind of, that's the great thing about college football, right? We're trying to predict shit before it happens, and we're trying to have fun with this. And, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. You might be right, and I'm going to owe you some money or some beer. Or even if you drink beer anymore, you probably don't. You probably, God only knows what you do. Probably drink wine or some shit now. So I don't know.
Only top shelf stuff. That's it. Only top shelf stuff.
You a high roller?
You got to, man. You've got to. A little bit of some small batch bourbon. I sound like a Will Ferrell, sort of inspired guy. Where I read many leather bound books